What up, everyone? Welcome back to the 9 to 5. Before we begin, let's just give a moment to the greatest of all time, Aretha Franklin, R.I.P.
Yes.
Anyways, today we have a very special guest with us. We have Nova, and she is the founder of Cultivate Central.
That's right.
Thank
you.
Yeah, welcome to our podcast. Why don't you go ahead and tell us more about Cultivate Central and what kind of things you guys do and what kind of goals you guys have?
Okay, sure. I've been lucky enough to be able to do Cultivate Central, to create Cultivate Central here in Singapore. It's really a urban permaculture outfit. And we can get into that later. But what we do is we essentially create food gardens. So food gardens for the regular household or cafe, but also a big part of what we do are learning gardens, where we create gardens for children. And the communities and getting them to sort of come connect with nature, culture, the environment, food through the context of a food garden, an edible space, edible garden. And through doing that, we run programs, engage communities. We along the way create little small products and solutions, but the main thing is just connecting connecting communities to bountiful, beautiful food gardens in compact small spaces. Right?
Okay, so for those of us that don't know, what exactly is permaculture?
Permaculture is vast. First of all, I think it's very hard to condense in one or two sentences, right?
Yeah. No, we got all the time.
We got a lot of time.
It's really vast. Okay, so it's these two words brought together. At first, people kind of said permanent agriculture. It started by a man called Bill Mollison, and alongside he worked with other people. He's from Australia, an anthropologist that went out and learned about, this was during the 70s actually. He of course, as a reaction and anger to what was happening to the environment, the degradation of environment and whatnot, he went out and he compiled this body of resource of traditional, of natural ways, working with nature with regards to how we can build our habitat, grow our food, how we store energy and use energy and whatnot. Right. So then he put it together in a body of text, and you can study it. It's highly democratic in a way. You go, you can self-learn, you go for a course, and at the core of it are three ethics, very simple. So it's earth care, care for people, and fair share. So from there, how do you then make that come to a reality? There are design principles around that, 12 design principles. So then you use the design principles to apply it to whatever you're doing.
And this is mainly for like agriculture stuff?
Yeah, so when it first started, I think a lot of people said permanent agriculture, and they put those two words together. But along the way, what has happened, it's permanent cultures.
Right.
It's how, especially today, right? Integrate
into modern culture.
Everything in a contemporary setting. For me personally, we use it for the way we put together our programs for children. So education, as a mother, how I sort of feed my child, or the kind of birth I had. And it's all there, if you map it out and you look at the design principles, and then in your home, your daily living, the food that you eat, how you work with communities. So it's really endless.
So it's like all encompassing. It's not just agriculture, it's just a lifestyle thing.
It's multifaceted, multidimensional.
Okay.
Science, culture, technology, food, agriculture, all of that.
So mainly it's like a way of life, if I'm getting this right.
but the core is that you work with nature rather than against it.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah, at everything that you're trying to do.
Give me some examples of how you work with nature. Like the programs you guys do.
Okay, so if we just look at the programs, for instance, when we run the programs with children, we do things like a lot of recycling, reusing. That's a way of thinking about our waste consumption.
Oh, hold on for a second.
Yeah. So we got a guest.
You got a guest?
Another guest coming in.
Number 10.
But that's okay. I think we can just carry on with it. Yeah. So you were saying it's a way.
Sorry. So one thing is what kind of resources we put into our programming. You know, we try and reuse old things and whatnot. Then the other thing is things like building soil, creating soil, what goes into that. We work a lot with worms. I brought my worms today, you know, my composting worms. So we...
Oh yeah, let's check those out.
Yeah, they're beautiful creatures.
Those are actual worms.
Yeah. Yes. So we have very funny because we run programs with children on the road at carnivals and stuff. And then the teachers will... Like after a while, like after the second or third session, word will go around that you are running this session with worms, and teachers will come to check out if they're real worms or not, and they'll be like, "Are they real? Yes, they're real worms. I didn't bring fake worms."
So just now you said building soil. So this is how you build soil.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously worms are we don't see them as often as we should. Well, they're underground, working very hard. For us, and these are composting worms. So they're some Malaysian blue worms and red wrigglers, and they're a huge part of our ecosystem.
Let's just pull this mic here so we can.
Huge part of our ecosystem underneath our feet. So we're talking about them eating a lot of organic waste, leaf litter, and then the most remarkable thing that they're doing is obviously. They are annualized. You see, there's segments and segments, so the food goes through each and every one of that segments, and as it comes out, worm poo is basically fertilizer.
Okay.
Right. So huge part of what plants need, lots of rich nutrients and microbial life because it's passing through their gut. So we like working with them. This is basically worm poo. You know, this is worm poo and we harvest the worm poo, we teach children about worm poo, and then we feed them back into the plants, our planters.
Right.
When we build raised beds, we make sure we put a lot of cardboard, a lot of organic materials. So the worms
let me stop you there. What are raised beds?
So raised beds are basically a way to create planter space to grow your food or grow plants without having to dig.
I see.
So when you learn about permaculture, one thing is like you want to do it the most, I wouldn't say the laziest way, but with less input in terms of energy, including your back-breaking energy. So raised beds are a great way to do that. So you can create your own raised bed, create your own soil.
Right.
If you know the method of layering just organic material. In the urban setting, cardboard, dried leaves, grass clippings, cuttings from the roadside.
I see, and you have the worms.
Food waste.
I see. And you have the worms.
Just put the worms in there.
So if you were to do this in the cement, obviously you don't. You won't have a condition where there are worms. But if you do this on your front lawn like that, the worms will come up naturally from what's underground. They will come up. And then you can introduce, but. When I first started, it was just about working with what you had underground. They will come up. So
for somebody that's like trying to just start out with doing some of this permaculture stuff, like what would you recommend like we get in terms of gear?
So in terms of the urban setting, I think when I first started on my balcony, it was just start with composting first. Learn how to turn your food waste, your newspapers, your clippings, and other kind of food waste that you can collect from your uncle who sells sugarcane bagasse, or the hipster coffee place that has loads of coffee to throw away or whatever. And then put together a compost bin, work with worms and get them to consume your waste. And then you realize, I've got all this fertilizer. What can I do? And you put it into create some soil. You work with things like cocoa peat, which is coconut fiber.
So when did you start this actually?
From my journey actually began when I was still staying in Malaysia.
Right.
I was actually in the corporate sector, and then I was creating, and then I left the corporate sector to create content actually, a podcast called Here and Now in Malaysia. Malaysia was going through a lot of changes and whatnot. So we captured stories about some of the changes happening, and one of the things we started delving into is the state of agriculture, or rather where our food was coming from.
Right.
And the average age of a farmer in Malaysia is like at that point it was 65, 70. And that is bad. I mean,
they're already pretty much in their
yeah.
golden years.
So when you go and you meet, and then you start to think about, you know, who's growing our food from paddy to vegetables and whatnot, and just the dependence on something that's not so sustainable, then you start to ask some questions. And then the flip side of doing that, we also went to seek out farmers who are doing it differently. So we met some farmers. I personally met this chicken farmer, Mr. Wong, who's really had an impact on me in that he did grass-fed chickens, which is like you can't get it here.
Yeah.
Grass-fed chicken. So they are feeding on what they would naturally be feeding, like crickets or whatever, you know, worms. They'll be pecking.
Just letting them roam free.
And they're grass-fed. And then his form of medication for them were leaves that he would like put together. This leaf, that leaf would be an antibiotic. This leaf, this. And then the chickens you see, when you learn permaculture, when you learn about it, you kind of like, okay, what does the chicken need? Or what, if you were a chicken, what would you be behaving like? You kind of work with nature, you know? And then you see they know what to eat when they feel ill. They know what to go look for, and then you so you
it's a natural animal instinct.
Yeah,
I'm noticing that with my dog as well. Like my dog, when he doesn't feel right, he just knows what to do about himself as well.
Yeah, exactly. And the kind of grass or weeds he'll go after, right? My dog does the same. So he just meeting this Mr. Wong guy, and then he told me about permaculture, and I said, I've got to go check it out. And then went for a course, went for another course, and then and that was like 2012, 2013, and I moved here in end of 2013, 2014. And then just started Cultivate Central. It was really just content at first, doing some freelance work in Penang, starting up a program there for children in a public park, and then one thing led to the other, and I'm
right. And speaking of children, so your whole program is right now it's primarily focusing on children, or
I mean 80% of what I do is kids in their communities right now. So they're teachers, principals, trying to give them some confidence to work with nature through getting their hands dirty and gardening and whatnot. But we're slowly, you know, we're getting, I think I met Robin through a corporate job actually. Like in the corporate sector, they find this to be a very engaging way to reach out to people and whatnot, and their employees, and so that's also happening. And then cafes have asked us to sort of start growing herbs. So we're diversifying, but the core of our focus happened to be children, because that's what I started. Like the first gig I got was a gig with communities.
And personally, I think for me, I think that's probably the perfect place to start, because
I mean,
start them young, then
I mean, but It is, but it doesn't pay. I was just to say it doesn't pay the best, but it is a great. Let's just be honest. You know, you're like startup. I've been zigzagging trying to figure out what to do, but it is the best because I tell you, when I work with these kids, you then realize how far removed we are sometimes, right, from things, and how they're so comfortable. They start off worms, then after 30 minutes they're like drawing about it, talking about it,
because they're the most malleable when they're young, so they might get grossed out about it at first, but they'll quickly adapt to it.
And they express themselves, which is what we want. I mean, you're grossed out about it, let's talk about it, and then So we're moving towards like also things like, you know, growing a lot of the herbs that we've forgotten, or the herbs that we didn't used to go to the shop to buy, but now we have to go buy curry leaves or pandan. You know, when we grew up, every neighborhood.
So what kind of herbs do you grow nowadays with the system?
If we've got a garden at this space called the Art Ground. It's called the Good Garden at Goodman Art Centre, and we've experimented with a lot. So like even mints, we've got like apple mint, water mint, peppermint, Swiss mint, cookies and cream mint, you know, just different things like that. And then shisho is another one that I mean, it's more like a green.
I think I might have worked with this
I'm sure you.
bit.
I mean, if you've been in the restaurant business, you know, it's just the smell alone, and then I have it.
If I'm not wrong, is this like a little spicy.
Yeah, that's
it's a
right.
little
And
spicy.
cumin,
Yeah.
cinnamony, and the Japanese
Yeah.
use it for their sashimi. Ours is a
Yeah.
purple version, but the green version, yeah.
I
We worked
recognize
it-
this when you say
yeah.
sashimi.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're also learning a bit more about things like that. Then the ulam raja, all the ulams, and then ginger, betel leaves. We're trying to grow, things like that. Of course, the regular, lemongrass. Then edible flowers like the oxalis. This one is edible. The leaf is edible. Like, you should try it. Yeah.
Do you normally just grow like herbs, or do you grow, like,
we're trying
vegetables as well?
we're trying to emphasize on herbs because I think you can heal. I mean, you can heal yourself a
Can I
lot.
eat this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can eat
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Go ahead. The only reason it's drooping because I didn't water it for a few days, but yeah.
Bro, try it, man.
Okay, yeah, I will.
Yeah.
No, try it now.
Yeah, no, I'm going to, man. Chill.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
It's nice, man.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty
so
good.
I didn't expect
it's
it.
like a
Yeah, I didn't expect that.
lemony.
Yeah, it's lemony, yeah. What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oxalis, really easy to grow. And it'll tell you when you're not doing a good job, see? Droopy leaves, because I
Yeah.
forgot to, I haven't been able to water it.
Mhm.
Past few days have been crazy. But back to your question, I'm trying to grow more herbs, to be honest, than the tomatoes. And we have that. When we have a kids learning garden, we do the okra, brinjal, chili, tomatoes. We do that. But I just want to try and bring back the herbs as well, and the ulam. We call it ulam in Malay, ulam raja. And all the other ulams, kado, pegaga, sisal joyweed, appreciating ginger not just for the roots but the leaves, things like that. And then borage, like if you have a flu, put some borage in your tea.
Okay.
So we teach kids like that.
So use your herbs not just for like making your food taste nice.
Yeah,
Use it
but
for like medicinal purposes.
things
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's really cool.
Lots to learn though, but so yeah. So
But what do you start people with? Like if they come to you and they're like, I want to start my own micro garden.
Yeah, so I think I always ask them, like, do you have a lot of time, or you just, you don't have a lot of time? Because I think a lot of people forget that there are these two broad categories of plants, in a sense that they're annuals or perennials. So annuals are plants that like every 6 months they will die.
Right.
So your sweet basil and whatnot, they die after 6, 7, 8 months. You can prolong the lifespan through care, but they generally die. Your tomatoes will die after giving you 3, 4 harvests, depending on the variety and whatnot. So it's very complex. And then you've got your okra also, a few rounds of harvest, then they die. Chili, and depending on the variety and whatnot. Whereas you've got a lot of herbs that are perennials, so they are everlasting. They can grow and grow and grow. So I always ask people, do you have a lot of time? Are you okay replenishing every few months, or you don't have time? You want something you can enjoy for teas, or a little bit of aromatic spices. That's one. Then number 2 is space, obviously.
How big is your space?
Yeah, how big is your space?
How much space do you actually need?
I started on my balcony. Now, of course, we've got gardens and whatnot, but we teach how to grow in small containers like this. This is not long term. Of course, it's not going to last forever, but like when we're working with families and whatnot, it's just a fun way to get started, And then we've got this thing, microgreens. You grow from seed to plate in 7 to 14 days.
Oh, that's fast.
I wanted to bring that, but I had to deliver it all to a client. But basically, and I think Robin has experienced this. Yeah, you put your seed in. We do this with kids. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Get some soil, small space like this. Put some seeds in, cover it with soil, water it. You've got baby leaves basically. Have it with your noodles.
And that's
or
about
pasta.
it.
Yeah,
You're pretty much done,
Yeah,
right?
you're done. Yeah.
Because they're really hardy.
Yeah.
plants, right?
Oh, yeah. But you got to harvest in 7 to 14 days.
Right.
After which, it's not a microgreen anymore.
I see.
It's
Oh,
like
okay.
it grows into a
Right.
a big plant.
Okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Have you ever like played around with like aquaculture?
Yeah, no. So
Aquaponics.
aquaculture is something we learn a lot about in permaculture, but I haven't. I personally haven't. I think the thing that permaculture has taught me is you find your niche. So I'm very much a soil person.
I see.
I will spend
Right.
hours mixing soil using different sort of ingredients that go into soil, and I am crazy about soil. Like, it's harder in this environment, but that has pushed me to work and create lighter, fluffier packages of soil.
Right.
You know, looking for ingredients that will give the plants what it needs, while the texture that it wants as well. But aquaculture is great. Like, you know.
Let's explain what aquaculture is to the viewers that don't know
Yeah,
what it is.
so like,
It's
okay,
quite cool.
so it's a
Yeah.
whole premise of a closed loop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like these worms, it's closing your loop, right? Your waste and then food and whatnot. So with aquaculture, at the bottom, you basically have a tank with fish.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have protein, right? Depending on the kind of fish you want. Then in the top of the tank is where you grow, is a bit of where you grow your plants or your vegetables. And then, of course, you've got pumps and whatnot. But basically, the waste from the fish gets pumped up to the greens
As fertilizer.
as fertilizer. And then the plants will actually clean up some of that water and goes back to the fish.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's no soil involved in this as well.
No, I mean, there are certain types of substrate or certain types of materials you use at the top to plant your vegetables, but it doesn't have to be soil at all. Yeah,
I see.
a bit like what they use for hydroponics and stuff like that on top. But I don't do hydroponics at all.
I see.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so aquaponics is gadgets.
Yeah. I mean, I used to like
Guys will
research
like
into
it.
it,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
getting the
Guys
Arduino
love,
to like
yeah.
control your stuff and
They'll love
whatnot.
it, yeah. And then you can, if you want to do it indoors, you can have your lighting, everything,
yeah.
So definitely in terms of gadgets. So to your question earlier, I think a lot of guys I just went straight with composting and worms. That was my niche,
For people who don't know what composting is as well, because it is not very common here in Singapore.
No.
Yeah.
Do you guys compost? No.
Yeah, I do.
You do.
I do.
Okay, great. That's great.
But let's explain what you can do with it.
So you turn waste into fertilizer.
And what
or
kind of waste
compost.
usually?
Yeah, so it's predominantly the kind of organic waste that non-cooked food items. So your vegetable peels, your fruit peels, and I would even say like coffee grounds, tea, and stuff like that. So you've got that. So your browns and greens, they call them, right? Browns and greens. So your greens are what is soggy, wet. It gives you that soggy, wet, but it's nitrogen, something that your your soil needs, your plants need. And then your browns is carbon, right? So carbon is your dry materials, your dried
Your dead
leaves,
leaves, yeah.
your dead leaves, your boxes, newspaper, things like that. So you mix it together at a certain proportion so it doesn't get too soggy and smelly, so that you can create some heat. And the heat is not coming from external. The heat is coming from this microbial life, like a little city of little small things, breathing, procreating, eating, and all of that. And so that heat then decomposes all of these materials, and then it becomes, and then the heat will go down, and then this becomes soil that you can use, or fertilizer or compost that you can use, that you can add into your soil to grow.
And there's a thing that you can do to make soap as well, using something similar like that, right?
Soap?
Yeah, soap. I can't remember what it's called, man. I heard it from this musician. She's the singer of this band called the Steve McQueens. Then she was talking about it. Basically using almost the same methods, but you make soap instead.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
that sounds
I
that
didn't
sounds
know
like
that,
something
dude.
Yeah, I can't
I
remember.
would like to learn, like like ash or something. I don't know.
I I think the byproduct, the product you get is it looks like
Like
soil.
compost soap?
Yeah, it looks like soil, but then you like use it as soap or something like
I
that.
want to know
Yeah.
more about this.
Don't quote me on this because this is like third-hand information. But I know you can make soap
Oh
using
wow,
waste
I
products.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like, I know coffee grounds you can use to make scrubs and stuff like that. But yeah, we've dabbled a bit from like using stuff in our garden to make beauty related products or body related products like lip balms. But I haven't made soap out of compost. That's for sure. No.
Okay. So what's your favorite project that you've done so far with Cultivate Central?
Wow, good question. I mean, I think I have two favorites. Okay. I mean, the first project is always special, right? Like the first project in Penang, called Think Green, It was actually with a developer that wanted to engage communities on this park that they had, and the park was next to a fishing community, and we had schools around, and that was very interesting because you can do so many things, but it just somehow they bit into the idea that we had that said, like, let's use a food garden to engage the community, and it's grown. It was 5 years ago, and I compiled a small little book about it last year, and it just grew from one school to like 6 schools, and children coming, and then children also building their own gardens in their school.
Oh, wow.
So, and then children going out every year and setting up pop-up booths to teach the public about composting or mixing or growing food in small spaces or urban farming and stuff. So that's really holds a special.
So basically, it grew on its own.
Yeah, well, it grew out of a lot of community
Right.
engagement and a
Yeah.
lot of effort, and just teamwork between. Like we worked with an NGO, we worked with the schools, we worked with. I mean, the company obviously was
Yeah.
very involved, and then I was there and as the permaculture designer, and that was really special. So it's a kind of thing where you can use permaculture to sort of engage and pull people together and map and connect. And
Yeah,
things like
yeah.
that. And then currently, the current project that I found has been really enriching is the one at the Goodman Art Center, the Good Garden with the art ground, and it's a very special project because first of all there's a food garden, a children's garden, and it's not an urban farm. It's a food garden. It's a learning garden, and I always stress that because people come, with this whole urban farming thing. Everybody comes expecting it to be a farm, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's a food garden. It's just going back to. And I think that's the future also, like where more people will be growing food for themselves,
for sure.
and not just depending on a farm to get some of it produced. So they come and we have, hundreds of students sometimes during the week coming and running. We run programs, we bring out the worms, they'll do art, because it's also art-based. It's not just dig the soil, put a seed.
Right. Yeah.
It's art. It's
How do you
expression.
integrate the arts into it?
So we do a lot of program design work. So a typical day, if you say 9 to 5, like we test out a lot of our programs. We go to preschools. I've tested out with my child, friends' children, whatnot. We integrate by mapping out first and foremost. Okay, what's the garden element of it that we want? And then after that, kind of saying what are the other expressions that can go into it, and what mediums can we use. And I don't just work alone. I work with another mother Gita, who's really artistic. And then I have S1D, who's a musician. So we're constantly like trying to think about, different things we bring together. I don't just work with gardeners or expert permaculture people.
Right.
I try and work, and then a lot of preschool teachers and things like that.
So what kind of people are on your team?
Yeah, how big is
So
your
the
team?
team, it's small.
Yeah.
It's really myself and 2 others, and that's it. It's myself, Gita, and S1D. I probably haven't even updated S1D yet because he just joined 2 months ago. But yeah, and yeah, it's tough.
Not getting the credit.
It's tough. But no, he hasn't done it yet. But he's great. He's a musician. So there's that element. We're constantly thinking about how we can bring that into our activities. And then Gita's a very active mom, hands-on mom, who's really into sustainable living, and she is a graphic designer. So she makes all these things, and she's thought of like 100 different ways to use this Meiji bottle, and, things like that. We need that,
Yeah.
Then I bring the permaculture sort of element and design to it.
Okay. Do you all make like ready-made products for people?
Yeah, I mean there are some, but retail is just a different
It's a different beast altogether.
because like I remember we made these planters for the Good Garden, and even the raised beds are these galvanized steel raised beds. And people go, do you sell them? Do you sell them? Do you sell? And people do want to buy, which is great, and I love it. But like we're running all these programs all the time, and we haven't, and it's.
And we're just 3 people working. It's
Yeah,
gonna be hard
yeah.
to spread yourself into retail as well.
Yeah. So, but it is inevitable.
Yeah.
Because people are seeing the things that we put up in the garden, and they want it. So we're just figuring it out. We're really just figuring it out.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times like people are very into this kind of thing. It's just that they want like an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
And the easiest way is if I can just buy something.
Yeah, which is fine. Which
Yeah.
is fine because the city is just even Singapore. There's just so much to do,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I can't. I don't mind gardening on a Saturday for 2-3 hours, but who wants? You know,
You can't
nobody
really
can-
expect everyone
that,
to
that.
do the same thing.
So what are the options? One, you do it together as a community.
Yep.
Okay, so sometimes we have volunteers, like volunteer days on Wednesdays or a weekday, and people come and then they experience just about the experience, and then they do it. And then there are all these community gardens that are like everywhere nowadays. So you do it as a community, and then number 2 is you have someone do it for you. And number 3 is have some solutions. So hopefully we're trying to get
I see.
down there.
like a simple starter
So,
kit
yeah,
or something.
things like that. So we've had pop-up shops, and we've sold things like microgreens kit and stuff like that. And yeah, it's quite popular.
How often do you all have these like workshops for the community so you can teach the communities how to
So
do
for
their own
children, it's like every week.
thing? Okay.
Every week. This week was a bit of an anomaly because something else was happening. But like basically every week, either a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and a Saturday morning, we're running something.
Right.
So we're pretty
busy.
Yeah, we're pretty knee deep in terms of like programming. But the exciting thing now is that I think there are opportunities we're seeing in more sort of local organizations or outfits or establishments that want to grow their own. So slowly we're getting more inquiries in regards to that. So
I see. Yeah, I imagine a lot more restaurants are like starting to think about growing their own food, you know?
It's not easy though because space.
Yeah.
And then you grow already, then who's going to look after?
Yeah, I was actually really lucky that the restaurant that I used to work in, they actually had their own little garden at the back of the restaurant. Yeah, so a lot of the herbs that they were using for the dishes, they were also just growing it at the back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And were they doing the growing themselves?
Yep, they were doing the growing themselves.
That is ideal because, I mean, and to be fair, the few that I'm working with, they are quite like that. You know, they my thing is you got to phase me out. Like I'm not supposed to be doing this for you forever. So of course we hold your hand, you know, 1 year, 1.5 years. But by the end of it, you know,
you have to be
doing
it
it
yourself.
Yeah. So it's great. So what do you guys grow? Like
mostly mint leaves.
Okay.
Mint
Was it a
leaves.
bar?
It was a fine dining restaurant.
Oh wow, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Bacchanalia.
Bacchanalia.
One Michelin star.
Wow. Okay. You know.
I wasn't gonna say it. I just said it was a fine dining restaurant.
He's being modest.
And there's something about, you know, there's really something special about just going out and just plucking it. Yeah. Like my son, when he has a flu, he knows exactly what herb, and he's 3 years old, to like pluck from the garden, eat it, wash it, eat it, and he's sorted, you know, and he believes it will help him. Because I'm like, you know, but yeah.
So you all kind of have like your own pharmacy going on
Well,
already
you
at
know,
home. Huh?
just the simple stuff, the mints, the borage,
I see.
I just moved, so now we start again. But yeah, we did have a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
In your opinion, right, do you think we in Singapore are doing enough in terms of like recycling and being aware of maintaining a sustainable lifestyle? Do you think we're doing enough here?
I think it's really grown the last just 2 years.
2 years.
The last 2 years, when I first moved, still a fringe, but now more people are asking, just from the volume of inquiries we get, can you do a composting workshop? We're giving away some dog gifts. Can it be a green kind of, instead of some nonsense that we get, you know, corporates are asking, you know. So just in terms of volume of inquiries, I sense that the market or the consumer is more aware. In terms of the home, whether we're doing enough recycling, I'm not so convinced. I think it's still very consumer driven. I think people want to buy things that are green to help, which is fine. I think we have to move towards items that are less impactful negatively to the earth. But we're not separating our waste enough. Right?
No, you can see it in supermarkets though. I go to the supermarket because me and my girlfriend, we always bring our own bags, you know, at least that much we want to do so that, you know, we're not wasting plastic. And then on the next counter, you see an old lady, give me 3 more bags. Like, oh shit.
But I mean, they just don't know any better.
They don't know any better.
I feel like the education is not there yet.
Yeah.
You know, it's not spreading enough awareness.
Yeah, I mean, I think kids, sorry, I need to fold my legs a bit. That's okay.
No,
kids. Kids are. I think kids definitely know a bit more. A lot more.
For sure.
Yes.
I think it's more the habits that are entrenched. Like for instance, like when you buy juice, like why must you get that silly plastic? You know that plastic that doesn't have a bottom, the plastic that's just around the middle part of a cup, and you just hold it with a handle. Why do you
it
need
was
that?
supposed to be the alternative to the cardboard thing for
or
hot
for you
cups,
holding
right?
your own thing. So
but
I
I
don't
was-
things like
I
that. So
didn't get that either.
a whole lot of things we can eliminate, like stuff like that. And
Speaking of eliminating stuff, what's your take on the whole thing with them stopping people from serving straws, plastic straws? Banning plastic straws.
so like even the fast food joints are kind of taking a stand on not so, I mean, I'm for it. I mean, I would drink from a cup without a straw. I think that is perfectly fine.
No, because like I'm thinking, okay, it's a good idea, but at the same time, a lot of people who, well, not a lot of people. There's some people who are obviously disabled, and they have to use a straw. And the thing about the, you know, like the metal straws,
they don't have that.
they're always disgusting, dude.
Wash it, man. I have metal straws at home.
As like, no matter how much you wash that, eventually there's gonna be stuff going in there.
I think so.
There are scrubs for the straws.
I do think the metal straw is. I mean, if you are obviously special needs and require a straw, there are options though. Besides the silicone ones. So it's about, you know, it's a market, right? You have to choose the best product. So there are the silicone ones, the metal ones. It's hard to clean. Bamboo, so I'm a bit, even though I'm permaculture, but I think the bamboo one gets a bit gunky inside as well. The paper ones that I suppose they're paper ones.
Okay.
But I think the paper ones are like they're reinforced with something that isn't all that
I've heard.
good.
Yes, just like paper cups, right? You think paper cups are good, but they've got a lining. So it's so many fine details that we don't know about. What other options are there? So silicone, I was thinking about it the other day. And then just simply, I suppose, drinking in the cup. No, I think it's a good move. And every small thing is a good move. Plastic needs to be reduced.
That's one thing, definitely. I agree with that.
So.
What are your thoughts on how we produce energy, though? Like most of our energy comes from fossil fuels right now, like coal, oil. What do you think we should, in your opinion, of course, how do you think we should switch over to more sustainable forms of energy?
Oh wow, I'm not an energy expert, first and foremost. I mean, that is a huge topic in itself. I mean, of course, solar would be good, but then how do we then attach to the grid, right? If you're using solar. So I suppose that those are the questions. For me, besides and I think the solutions are there. I think the experts are also there. It's just whether
it's feasible at the moment.
Well, I don't, and also whether there's will to want to go in that direction. I do know they're opening up the energy market.
Right.
So you'll get to choose. And in by opening up the energy market, some players will then come up with solutions
Yeah.
like you've
And
talked
stuff will
about.
only get cheaper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Because
things will get
right
cheaper,
now
yeah.
solar panels are still expensive
Yeah.
as hell.
Yeah, no, but
dude.
you
No, the
it's
good
worth it, man. It's worth it,
ones,
man.
the
Because like
good
for
ones.
my house, we have solar panels on top.
Yeah.
and it basically provides energy for our heaters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the way it works right now is whatever energy you get from the solar panels, you sell it back to the electrical company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just give you a discount for your bill.
Yeah.
How much
Yeah.
was your solar panel though?
Enough.
Yeah, but it will,
can't
it will
afford that.
reduce. But it will reduce.
Yeah.
I think
If you open up
price,
the
price, yeah,
market,
price,
yeah.
yeah, price points will go down, and then it's about again getting the incentive.
Yeah.
It's all about incentive. We're so incentive driven, right?
Yeah.
Humans
Yeah.
are incentive driven. So when they open up the market in Singapore, I think there will be players that will be offering things
Yeah.
like that, and then that will be a good thing.
There are also things like the Tesla battery where you can like connect your solar panel
See,
into
there's
the
all this,
battery,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
and store that
I
battery
saw that.
power.
Yeah, it's all about
That'll be amazing. That'll be completely off the grid, really.
Yeah, dude.
You know?
And if it's anything, I think Singapore can do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
the country is small
yeah,
enough.
yeah, centralized, small.
Oh, we got another visitor.
We
Wow,
got another
very
visitor.
popular face.
Yeah, we're popular today.
Who's that this time?
I think it's the lady who can't park.
Oh, that's
Oh,
me
no.
though. Do I have to move
Oh
my
no,
car?
let's give this a pause for a second.
Yeah.
Is it her? Oh, delivery.
I thought it was the neighbor with like the lady who doesn't know.
Yeah, so to the listeners right now,
Having
there's a
tough
neighbor that
time.
doesn't really
She always
know
has
how
a
to park.
hard
Wait,
time.
let me clarify. I had problems parking here, okay?
Yeah,
No.
it's a bit of a narrow
Yeah,
road.
Yeah, it's a bit of a narrow road. Yeah.
That's alright,
yeah.
it's alright.
It is alright.
But I suppose the other thing which is interesting is water consumption.
Yes.
And there's something we try and do a lot in the garden as well. I think, of course, Singapore is quite a model in terms of
Yeah.
how it manages its water and whatnot. But at the household level, when we have gardens, we try and show kids how we can store water underground. How can you don't have to water just this way. You can water from the bottom up as well. So
Right.
we do these sub irrigation planters,
Okay.
or we create vessels that you put in planters. And you water the vessel instead of watering the plant, and that keeps. Well, it's just small ideas that we plant. And rainwater catchment is so important also. But I don't think
That requires
that's-
a bit of space though.
yeah, of course, space, yeah. But like a house like this, if you can catch your rainwater,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. But I think a lot of the rainwater over here goes into central catchment as well.
I think another thing that needs to be dealt with is how much water that F&B places use.
Very
Right?
interesting, yeah.
Restaurants, because it's inevitable. You got like wash the dishes.
Yeah, and they don't really think
And
about
they don't
it.
really
you know?
think
It's
about it
like
when they're
just
at the
like,
restaurant,
just
yeah.
clean it.
Yeah.
And portions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like one thing, of course, in doing this, we're always thinking when we're eating, we're always thinking about waste, right? And I just think portions here are surprisingly bigger than they need to be.
Yeah.
I think they got bigger in the last
I
few
think
years.
portions are big.
They got bigger in the last
I
few
think it's
years,
ridiculous.
and for some reason I don't understand why we're picking that up from Western culture.
Yeah,
like we never
it's
needed
ridiculous.
that.
We don't need that much.
We never needed large
You
portions.
don't think so?
I gotta
Like-
disagree with you guys because I eat a lot.
Well, you eat a lot because you like.
yeah,
I have some
maybe.
crazy metabolism, so I
Okay.
eat a lot. I
No,
eat,
but I mean, if you're walking into a restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and you only eat a certain amount, but their portions are standardized, so you have a lady who doesn't eat that much or a
Yeah.
guy who doesn't eat
Yeah.
that
that's true. That's true.
much. You know.
The hawker centers have a good system. You got your $2, $4, $6,
Yeah.
then you choose. That's fine.
Yeah.
But restaurants, generally
Yeah.
F&B outlets,
Yeah, it's a
it's
standardized
crazy,
portion.
and that's a huge amount of waste.
That's actually a good point. They should
Yeah.
do something like how the hawkers do
Yeah.
it. You know, like different prices for
Just
different
price
portion
point,
sizes.
or I don't know.
I
think
mean, even
nowadays-
Starbucks does it. Small, medium, large. Come on, let's do it.
Yeah, but Starbucks sucks.
I know it does. I'm just saying that whole system.
Don't
never
forget,
works.
don't forget, we're sponsored by Yahava now.
Oh yeah, we're sponsored by Yahava.
Not really. We just love that coffee.
He does. I haven't tried it
Oh, you
before
haven't tried
myself.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
So
Yeah.
so I just think portions.
Yeah, portions.
Big time
Yeah,
waste.
Portions,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah.
What do we do with our food wastage? Like for the restaurant that you're working at, what did they do with the food wastage, man?
They wait for the garbage man to come around.
Oh
Yeah.
shit.
That's
There are
about
all these
it.
clauses, right?
Yeah.
That you can't donate it.
Yeah.
You can't. But there are these food banks
Yeah.
Yes.
out in the city. And, I mean, I've also been reading a lot about these. Is it garbage divers? Dump divers?
Dumpster divers.
Dumpster divers.
Dumpster
Sorry, not
divers.
garbage. Yeah, dumpster divers, and I've because the freegan movement. That's also kind of not, I wouldn't say picking up, but it's there.
So what is the freegan movement?
So I'm not part of it, but I've just seen or followed or read a little bit. Like so dumpster diving is one of them. I think you can get free food from the back of certain vegetable shops or grocery shops and stuff like that.
And restaurants
but
too.
also exchanging things for free markets, things like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen those shops popping up where they sell your regular groceries and they sell like detergent and all that, but then they sell it from a canister and then you bring your own container?
No packaging, right?
Yeah, no packaging at all.
Yeah,
what are those
bring-
shops called?
I have no idea what they're
Unpacked and
called.
things like
Unpacked.
Unpacked
That's right,
is
that's right.
one, and
There's
then,
one at
Green
Upper
Collective is
Thomson.
another.
Yeah.
They're quite a number.
And then you just bring your own containers and
Zero waste,
Right, yeah.
So the zero waste.
They just
Unpacked,
weigh
Green
they just
Collective.
weigh what you get and
Yes.
then they just charge you how much it weighs.
Yes.
That's
That's
pretty
pretty
good
cool.
idea.
Yeah. Packaging is
Pretty cool too.
nonsense, right?
Yeah, I mean it's unnecessary.
unnecessary. Yeah.
It's all aesthetic, really. Like
Yeah.
people, you nowadays you only have like nice packaging because you want to interest the customer into buying your
As
stuff.
long as you know what you're
Yeah.
really buying, I suppose.
Yeah.
Packaging is
Yeah.
supposed to also, for me, packaging is supposed to also inform you, but then it's all marketing gibberish,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So don't you all hate it when you all buy like a brand new thing and then it comes in a big ass box, but then the
it's
product
nonsense.
itself is like this small?
and this is what's happening with this whole internet. Like you purchase stuff through the internet, right?
Yeah. They give you like a
Like-
massive box
yeah,
with all
and
the
then,
shipment.
oh, and then like all that like
I mean,
bubble wrap stuff
Yeah.
and styrofoam balls and things
yeah,
like
as a
that.
person in marketing and also in video, we're kind of culprits
Yeah.
to that.
hard,
We
yeah.
have to order stuff online a lot. So we
That's
have
true,
a lot
that's
of
true.
deliveries that
It's
come
just-
to us, and we're like, oh.
But so one thing that's happening is people are using mycelium or network of mushrooms to see if they can create packaging. So the future of packaging, I think it's going to change, right? We move away from it being petrol based or plastic based to things like more natural. So of course cardboard was one of it before, but you have things like they're using sugarcane bagasse, corn, bamboo fiber for packaging, then also mushrooms and mycelium because there's a network.
How does that even work?
It forms
I'm
like a
not-
net or
yeah,
something.
a network. Yeah, a network. Mushrooms
Yeah.
form a network of fungi and roots and systems.
And it's actually
whatnot,
relatively
very-
durable,
Yeah,
too.
it's durable, and then so I think the future of packaging will definitely change.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. I have to
Then
say,
edible packaging.
Edible
Do
packaging.
you remember the sweets last time? The one with the rice paper.
the
that you
panda
can
one,
eat?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Was
like
that a
that.
panda one? I thought it was a rabbit.
Rabbit,
Oh,
white
rabbit,
rabbit.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
rabbit,
sorry,
white
yeah,
rabbit.
Yeah, white rabbit.
Yeah, I
That's
know,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
one.
Yeah, but
the edible wrapper.
But then the plastic outside was
Yeah,
still
the plastic
plastic.
outside is still plastic.
So we've got to take it a step further, yeah.
Well, I guess edible packaging, maybe not so much, because like the packaging is still like, but like stuff that you can that can
Yeah,
decompose.
actually at least put in
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
compost bin, right?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like
or for
edible,
your
I don't
worms to
know.
eat or something.
I don't really think I want to eat my box.
I
That's been
would.
lying in a
Well,
warehouse.
yeah, no, I wouldn't.
you know,
I mean, there's these edible spoon things that I've seen online. Have you seen that?
No.
Instead of
No, I've
plastic
never seen that
spoon,
before.
that you can.
What does
yeah.
it taste like?
I have not
Cardboard.
tried it. But yeah, probably cardboard.
It probably tastes like
But
cardboard.
like, oh, you can have a party and then you can eat the spoon, like.
What? That reminds me of this pipe. When I was in America, I went to this shop and then there was this pipe that was made of candy. And I asked the lady like, wait, so this pipe is edible? And then she's like, yeah, you can smoke like your tobacco from the pipe and then you eat the pipe. And I was like, how's it taste? Then she's like, I have no idea, I never tried it. And I was like, yeah, neither.
So what
I
happens?
don't think I'm gonna try
What happens
it.
to the end that's full of the tobacco?
Yeah,
like,
I
it's
have
gonna
no
taste bitter.
idea.
That's what it's gonna taste like, bitter.
I don't want to find out because it sounds disgusting.
It sounds disgusting, dude.
Yeah. So the limits, I suppose.
Yeah, there are
Yeah,
limits.
the limits.
You don't want to be eating ash, man. That's like literally eating an ashtray.
No, I
But
don't want that,
yeah.
no.
So just now, John and I were talking, and we were talking a bit about climate change, and we were thinking of asking you, what do you feel about people who deny climate change, even when there's so much evidence
Yeah.
showing
Just
that?
recently, the heat
Yeah.
is just
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. Like I was saying,
Yeah.
we really struggled the last 2-3
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
Actually, really
Yeah.
struggled the plants and everything, and just being out there, we could feel it. I think it's just convenient
to deny
to
climate
deny,
change.
right? If you are if it's hard work, if it means you have to change the
The way
status
that you
quo
live, yeah.
or what it is. There's always an agenda, right? So it really depends on which side of the coin you are, and if it's inconvenient, you will deny, or even worse, you will just pretend like
It's not happening.
it's not happening,
Yeah.
or it's not not something you have to think
Worry
about.
about,
Yeah.
Yeah, people will just say, there's experts that'll handle that for me.
Yeah, there's that. But I mean, there's something or one thing or a handful of things everybody can do. You choose to do it or not. That's
Okay.
the only thing. So I really think just these are people that it's just inconvenient to accept it because it means you have to change a lot of things.
I think some people have actually been convinced by politicians
Oh
that it
yeah,
doesn't
of course.
exist.
It's
you know?
top down as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens a lot here though. I think generally.
I think you'd be surprised.
Ah,
I've
yeah.
met
Yeah.
I've met some people that think that okay, for sure climate change is real.
Yeah.
But how much of the man-made aspect plays a part in
Yeah.
it? You know, like
yeah.
that part.
Yeah, that part I think.
It's hard to really argue against or for
Yeah.
because the evidence is not 100% clear yet.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
if you ask me, I would say just to be safe, let's just assume that man-made climate change is real. You know,
absolutely,
like
yeah.
shit, man, we only got one planet.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Like if this goes away,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's not like we're gonna go to Mars anytime soon. You know,
that's not gonna happen
We are
anytime
stuck.
soon.
We are stuck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, absolutely. I think that's why we do what we do, and I mean the children get it. When you work with them, they I've had kids tell me, "Oh, water is so important," and things like that. So they get it. But I think it's just as adults, we're lazy lah.
I think we're mostly set on our ways already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're set in our ways.
It's
but
like- it's
but
like-
I'm still hopeful.
Yeah.
But when politicians are denying it, it's a bit difficult.
Because they have a bigger pull on the community as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and it's policy making, right?
And like the literal most powerful man in the world thinks it's a Chinese hoax. Come on, man. Come on. We got a problem there.
Yeah, we got a big problem there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's why a big part of permaculture is thinking up local solutions.
Right.
Yeah.
And when we say local, we don't even mean depend on politicians.
Yeah.
Like in your community,
Just, small
in
things
your
that you can do
network,
in your own
your
home.
in
Yeah.
your family, in your network, and then there will be a groundswell. Because if we're waiting for the bigger system,
Yeah, it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take a long time.
yeah.
What are the small steps that we can already take right now?
So yeah, like number one, watch your consumption. I just did, like I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, I did that whole, a bit unrelated from permaculture, but still related in a way, this Marie Kondo, have you heard of this? What is it called? This thing where you really par down the things that you have at home,
Okay.
okay, and you tidy up.
So a
And you
minimalist kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
movement.
and
Right.
and you just kind of be really clear about how much you have at home and the space
and how much you
what
need
yeah,
actually, yeah.
So we did that, and my husband and I, and so we're just clearer now when we purchase anything, you know, from clothes to what we have at home,
Right.
and that has really helped. So consumption, I think, is crazy. And then the other thing is food. Like, you want to make one of the biggest political move you can make as a person is trying to understand a lot more about where your food comes from, how it's grown, what goes into it, how much resources go into it,
Yeah.
what kind of labor that's put into it, and then how far it flew to come in, and then GMO, non-GMO, just understanding a lot of that, and then how much meat consumption. I'm not a vegan, I'm not vegetarian, but do we need to eat as much meat as we do? You know, and if we do eat the kind of meat, what kind of meat? You know, things like that.
Yeah.
So just asking those kind of questions.
Yeah, for sure the
Yeah.
meat issue is a big one because
Yeah.
definitely one of the biggest causes of greenhouse gases is
Yeah,
the
yes.
transportation of meat itself. you know?
And also feeding the animals and livestock and the
Yeah.
labor and all that. So there's a lot of issues, but I think
there's
if
a
you
lot of
really
things
want to
going
make,
on.
just think about your food, because you do
Yeah.
that how many times a day?
3 times at least.
Yeah, at least 3
Yeah.
times a day you're putting something in your mouth and having it and consuming it and eating it. So that's the
So
yeah.
think about your consumption.
Yeah,
Think about your food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two things, and then from there it will lead you to all these other questions.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So how can we help your cause out, Cultivate Central?
Wow. I think start composting.
Okay.
You know, there's some tips on our website.
Shout out to your website. What's your website?
Yeah, it's www.cultivatecentral.com. And, you know, I write about how you can do it on your balcony, the do's and don'ts. Follow us on Instagram. It's cultivate_C. There you get, you know, our daily tips and things we're doing and how we're not just working with children, but what we're growing and what has failed, what has not,
Right.
and stuff like that. As well as, so that's good. So, yeah, that would be great if you could check us out online.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I really gotta go because it's my
Yes.
dad's birthday. But is there any?
mine.
Snap.
Yeah, I gotta go for his dinner. But is there any last thing that you want to bring up?
Yeah, I mean, grow some food. Try it. Grow food in small spaces. It's totally doable. If you have children, get them involved. It's absolutely fun. And yeah, follow us online for some
What kind of food would you suggest though, like
With
as
children?
a beginner?
Yeah, like do microgreens.
Okay, microgreens such as.
Such as sunflower microgreens, beets, kangkong, spinach, bok choy microgreens, shiso microgreens, like endless varieties. But red radish, we love red radish. Yeah.
And this is all available on the website. People can check it out.
Have I done a piece of microgreens? I will. No, on Instagram.
On
talk
Instagram.
on Instagram
Right.
we talk a lot about microgreens. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to thank you again for coming
Thanks
on,
for
Nova.
having me.
for coming
yeah,
around.
no problem.
This was actually
John and
very
Zee.
interesting.
And very insightful.
Very
Yeah.
insightful.
I hope you
Definitely
had fun.
very different from our
Yeah.
previous guests.
Yeah, and come by to the garden.
Yes.
One of these
Where is
days,
the garden,
yeah.
by the way?
It's at the Goodman Art Center at the Art Ground.
And that's at Mount Baton, correct?
Yes, at the Mount
Alright,
Baton.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Super close by too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
super
super
close
close
by.
by.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening once again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.
Yeah.
We
Bye to
out.
the worms.